Moët and Chandon, the most consumed champagne among billionaires. There's something strange, almost unsettling, about realizing that billionaires worldwide, with access to everything that's rarest, continue to choose the same bottle to celebrate their victories. Moët and Chandon. This breaks a logic that many people believe without a second thought. The super-rich always want what nobody else has. But curiously, this is the drink that almost all of them share in common. And when you begin to understand why, you realize that this champagne reveals much more about the billionaires than about the drink itself. What's most intriguing is that Moët wasn't born as a luxury icon. There was no red carpet, no glamour, no fame, just an ordinary vineyard and a man with a vision that challenged even the French elite. And that's precisely where the paradox lies. How did something so simple become the universal code of the powerful? While people struggled to attract attention with desperate efforts, Moët grew quietly and dominated the top of the global pyramid. And perhaps the most provocative part is this. Understanding Moët isn't just about learning about a sophisticated drink. It's about learning about human behavior, status, social power, and above all, how symbols shape decisions, including your own. Because when you discover what truly makes billionaires choose Moët, you begin to see patterns that influence your own daily life without you even realizing it. And the answer is much closer than it seems. The unexpected origin of Moët and Chandon, how an ordinary vineyard became a symbol of royalty. When you look at a bottle of Moët and Chandon today, it's easy to imagine it born perfect, enveloped in glamour, luxury, and that almost mesmerizing glow that seems to follow everything it touches. But curiously, it all began much more simply. An ordinary vineyard in a France full of instability, wars, and abrupt changes. Pierre Moët, the founder, was not an aristocrat. He was simply a man who saw opportunities where others saw only grapes. He understood, with an almost intuitive wisdom, that the right wine, at the right time, could cross social boundaries that no noble title could. An experienced mentor observing this story immediately notices a pattern. Great empires are born from small insights. Pierre observed that the French court had a voracious appetite for novelty, for something that would give them a sense of belonging to a higher world. So instead of limiting himself to producing for the local market, he began sending his champagne directly to those who set trends: nobles, artists, influential travelers. It's like when someone today decides to publish content for leaders instead of random followers. The impact multiplies, and the reputation grows along with it. Some say that true luxury lies not in what is sold, but in what is represented. And Pierre understood this far too early. He insisted on personally delivering his champagne to important figures, as if he were handing over not just a drink, but a fragment of France itself in liquid form. Imagine someone who, instead of simply reading about business, decides to study, think, and grow Ricker the richest man in Babylon to shape mindsets. This type of choice creates a silent but profound shift. Little did Pierre know that this same logic, boldly applied, would be the beginning of a journey that would place his name alongside kings, queens, and, in the future, billionaires. The meteoric rise. When the French court transformed Moët into the official drink of power. When Moët entered the French court, something curious happened. It ceased to be just a sparkling wine and became a symbol of influence. Louis XV, known for his appreciation of all things new and sophisticated, quickly adopted the drink as part of his banquets and celebrations. And, from the moment the court approves something, the rest of the country follows as if it were a silent law. It's like when an admired person recommends a book. Suddenly, everyone wants to read it. And so, Moët gained a stage that no advertising could buy. The most interesting thing is that Moët didn't enter this universe by luck, but by strategy. Pierre Moët knew that if he placed his drink on the right table, it would be viewed differently by the entire country. He understood the psychology of prestige long before it became the subject of modern books, such as The Logic of Consumption. When you associate your work with the right people, whether it's an influential boss, a strategic client, or someone you admire, you change the perception of what you do. Moët simply applied this logic a century before the word branding even existed. And that's how the drink became the official drink of power. With each toast, each party, each royal celebration, the image of Moët solidified as part of aristocratic culture. And perhaps that's the most fascinating detail. When a brand enters the emotional routine of an elite, it ceases to be a product and becomes an heirloom. This movement created a wave that would span centuries and pave the way for the next chapter of this story, where the taste of Moët begins to carry an even deeper meaning. The secret behind the flavor. Why billionaires swear that Moët isn't just a drink, it's an experience. Anyone who has tasted a glass of Moët Chandon quickly realizes that they are not dealing with something ordinary. The flavor doesn't arrive all at once. It unfolds in layers as if it were designed to speak to the soul, not just the palate. Billionaires often say that Moët is not champagne. It's a ritual, a silent code of refined pleasure. And, in a way, they are right. Each bubble, each fruity note, each mineral touch tells a story that begins in the limestone soil of Epernay and ends in the expression of the taster, as if time slowed down for a few seconds. The most curious thing is that this distinctive flavor doesn't happen by chance. The brand follows techniques bordering on obsession, rigorous selection of grapes, controlled fermentation, prolonged maturation, and a blending process that seems more like alchemy. It's like when someone tries to develop a powerful habit, reading 10 pages a day, for example. At first it seems simple, even common, but with discipline, it profoundly transforms the mind. Moët does this with the palate. It transforms the simple into memorable, the common into extraordinary, creating nuances that are only perceived when one learns to savor attentively. Perhaps that's why those with real money choose Moët not just for the name, but for the sense of belonging it offers. It's not uncommon to see collectors describing the experience as a breath of life, something reminiscent of the first time someone understands the power of a well-made investment or a transformative trip. To feel the difference, many experts recommend comparing Moët to a regular sparkling wine, while paying attention to the texture, aroma, and lingering finish. This simple yet revealing practice shows why the brand wins over everyone, from the most demanding sommelier to the billionaire who collects rare moments, and even opens the door to something bigger to come in future chapters. The bottle that became a social code. How Moët became a global status symbol. There are objects that are instantly recognizable, even from a distance, and the Moët bottle is one of them. It carries an almost magnetic charm, the kind that makes any environment seem more sophisticated simply by its presence. At high-class parties, no one needs to announce that they are drinking something special. Just observe how people hold the bottle, as if they were carrying an extension of their own identity. It's curious how some items transcend their function and become social symbols, just like a Rolex watch or a Porsche car that communicate more than a name. They tell a story. The Moët phenomenon, however, goes beyond aesthetics. The brand has infiltrated the most iconic celebrations in film, music, sports, and pop culture, creating a kind of silent signal among those who understand luxury. When a celebrity pops a bottle of Moët on a red carpet, they're not just toasting. They're saying they belong to a circle where abundance is the rule, not the exception. It's like when someone trades in their old cell phone for a premium model. The device works the same, but the way people perceive you changes completely. And this social transformation generated by a simple label makes many people reflect on the true power of the brand. After all, Why has a bottle become an invisible password to enter more exclusive environments? Perhaps it's because Moët understood that status is not debated, it's demonstrated. And this demonstration happens with elegance, subtlety, and a touch of audacity. Those who know the power of social codes know that they open doors that no money can buy. And, curiously, there is another element in this story that elevates this game to an even more intriguing level. The silent luxury strategy, how the brand dominates billionaires without aggressive advertising. While many brands shout to be noticed, Moët Chandon does the opposite. It whispers. And it is precisely this whisper that wins over billionaires. The brand doesn't need giant billboards, bombastic jingles, or invasive campaigns. It simply appears where the real power lies. It's that discreet presence at private events, exclusive dinners, limited collections that only those in the right circle can access. It's like that wise investor who doesn't talk about his gains. He simply lives the consequences of them. This strategy works because true luxury doesn't need to sell itself. It needs to prove itself. And Moët confirms its grandeur with small, meticulously calculated gestures. A partnership with a historic maison, a strategic appearance at a statesman's table, a rare edition offered only to select collectors. It's a powerful psychological game, just like someone who decides to study books in depth, such as The Psychology of Money or The Power of Habit. Moët understands that it influences subtly, affecting perception, not saturation. For billionaires, this approach is irresistible because it combines exclusivity with authenticity. They don't want what everyone sees. They want what few even know exists. And it is precisely this silent movement that places Moët on a pedestal where brands desperate for attention never reach. But there is an even deeper detail in this strategy, something that is revealed when we observe how Moët has been present in historical moments that shaped the world. And this opens a fascinating door to the next point. A presence at the most important moments in history: coronations, victories, and global celebrations. It's curious how some brands always seem to be in the right place when history decides to change course. Moët Chandon has been present at royal coronations, peace treaties, grand inaugurations, and even the most emblematic victories in world sport. Not by chance, the brand understood early on that prestige isn't built solely on flavor, but on presence. When a king or queen raises a glass of Moët to toast a new era, it becomes a symbolic record, as if the bottle carries part of the responsibility of immortalizing that moment. This phenomenon can be compared to when someone decides to record important phases of their life, whether with a diary, a mentor, or a book that marked a profound turning point. That's not just memory. It's identity being built, brick by brick. Moët has done exactly that throughout the centuries. It has transformed significant moments into chapters of its own brand, creating an almost emotional connection with those who observe the story unfolding. And if you stop to think about it, this ability to be where it matters is one of the greatest strengths of any power strategy. It's no coincidence that collectors and connoisseurs describe Moët as the drink that was always there. It has accompanied political ascensions, cultural revolutions, and even great reconciliations, always with the same elegant and silent demeanor. And this symbolic presence creates a kind of respect that cannot be bought, only earned over time. But there's a little discussed side to this trajectory. It wasn't all victories and glamour. There were scandals, internal tensions, and disputes that almost tore apart this impeccable image. And it is precisely there that the story begins to take on an even more intriguing tone. The hidden glamour, scandals, rivalries, and internal disputes that almost ruined everything. Behind the impeccable shine of the bottles and the glamour of the parties, Moët Chandon faced storms that almost no one imagines. There were family disputes, rivalries between heirs, and moments when the brand was on the verge of losing its privileged position in the world of luxury. It's that old story: when something grows too fast, it attracts attention, ambitions, and inevitably, conflict. And Moët didn't escape that. Behind the scenes, risky decisions and strategic disagreements almost ruined everything, as happens when someone makes financial decisions without aligning purpose and vision. A keen mentor knows that great brands, like great people, are forged in friction. For decades, internal tensions arose with every market shift, every war, every economic crisis. Some family members wanted to innovate aggressively, others wished to preserve centuries-old traditions. Remember when someone tries to start a new habit but is torn between the desire to change and the fear of leaving behind what they know? The same battle was fought within Moët. And ironically, it was this dispute that shaped the strategies that would make it stronger. These conflicts, however, never reached the public in full force. And that's the greatest sign of the brand's strategic intelligence. It knew that luxury doesn't mix with chaos. It mixes with control and storytelling. Thus, while the world witnessed perfect celebrations, internally the company struggled to balance tradition and reinvention, power and responsibility. This silent struggle created a robust foundation for the brand to connect with people who value exclusivity. And, interestingly, it is precisely this connection that explains why billionaires have made Moët part of their most extravagant rituals. Something that only makes sense when we enter the next chapter of this story: the link to extreme luxury. Yachts, private collections, eccentric billionaires, and Moët as a ritual. When observing the habits of the ultra-rich, one realizes that Moët Chandon is not just a drink. It's part of an almost sacred ritual. On multimillionaire yachts, it served as if it were a natural extension of the endless blue landscape. In private collections, it appears alongside rare works and historical artifacts, as if each bottle were a museum piece. Eccentric billionaires treat Moët as a personal symbol of victory, a silent reminder that they have reached where few can. It's similar to those who create daily rituals of reading, prayer, or visualization to anchor their own identity. The interesting thing is that these rituals don't arise by chance. They function as psychological reinforcements. When someone opens a bottle of Moët at a crucial moment, they are creating an emotional anchor. Just as someone might choose to reread a transformative book, like The Courage to Be Imperfect or Mindset. Whenever they need to realign themselves, billionaires use Moët to mark achieved goals and strategic accomplishments. The drink becomes part of a personal reward system, something reminiscent of the feeling of buying the first investment that truly pays off. And this creates a curious logic. The more exclusive the environment, the more natural it becomes to find a bottle of the brand. Moët appears on trips to Monaco, private, parties in Dubai, secret retreats in Switzerland, and closed meetings in London. It integrates into the scenario of absolute abundance, reinforcing a lifestyle that seems inaccessible to the common world. But there is an even more intriguing detail. Even with so much competition in the luxury market, Moët continues to lead the top of the pyramid. And there are very specific reasons for this. Reasons that reveal why it is, to this day, the preferred champagne of billionaires. Why Moët remains the most consumed champagne among billionaires to this day. In a world where trends change every season and brands appear and disappear like sparks, Moët Chandon remains firmly at the top, almost untouchable. This is because it doesn't just deliver champagne. It delivers continuity, history, and consistency. Billionaires, contrary to what many think, value stability as much as extravagance. They see in Moët a bridge between tradition and modernity, something that remains reliable while the rest of the world spins at a frenetic pace. It's like that solid habit that sustains the mind in moments of chaos. Another essential point is that Moët doesn't try to compete in the obvious realm. It positions itself where few manage to reach, in the emotional imagination of its consumers. While some brands sell liquids, Moët sells meaning. It represents victory, legacy, permanence, values that directly resonate with those building empires. It's similar to that seemingly simple decision to adopt a book as a life guide, Think and Grow Rich. For example, it's not just reading. It's a mental map that changes the way you see the world. Furthermore, the brand knows how to reinvent itself without losing its essence. It manages to keep pace with new generations of millionaires while honoring its centuries-old history, creating a sense of exclusivity accessible only to those who know how to recognize what is truly valuable. It is this rare balance that ensures that, at private dinners, confidential meetings, or extravagant celebrations, Moët continues to be presented as if it were part of the present moment. And it is within this continuity that a new path opens up, because understanding why billionaires choose Moët says a lot about how they think, consume, and move within the silent game of power. Now that you know the journey of Moët and Chandon, from simplicity to royalty, from internal disputes to silent dominance among billionaires, the question that really matters is, what do you do with this knowledge? Because observing the behavior of the ultra-rich isn't about imitating excesses, but about understanding strategies. And perhaps the biggest challenge is this: what symbols have you chosen to represent the life you want to build? Stop for a moment and reflect. Have you surrounded your routine with elements that elevate your mindset, or with things that only drain your energy? Are you making decisions that bring you closer to your dreams, or are you still reacting to whatever comes your way? What Moët teaches us, silently, is that consistency, positioning, and presence are worth more than noise. And this logic applies to business, relationships, career, and even your identity. So before you leave the video, answer in the comments, which part of this story moved you the most? And if you want to continue learning about the world of luxury, strategy, and human behavior, topics that shape the mindset of the most influential people in the world, click here. Sign up, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Only then will you continue to access content that can expand your vision and transform the way you see power, success, and the choices you build every day.